This message is originating from my basement. This past weekend I spent along with my wife cleaning it out, and after 30 years you accumulate a lot of junk, so there's been a whole heck of a lot of stuff hauled out. This week's message has to do with extra credit. Extra credit can only help you, or at worst has no impact. I get a lot of questions from students who say, you know, I took that extra credit and either I got 0 out of 1 or maybe I got 2 out of 5, and let's say it's 2 out of 5 and my percentage was 40% and it dropped my overall grade point percentage wise down. Well, I don't grade on percentage. I grade on total points. So 2 out of 5, you get 2 points. I don't really care about the denominator. So again, look in the syllabus, you'll see the minimum point levels for each grade level, whether it's A, A minus, B plus, whatever. Okay, so that's the key thing. So don't get all bent out if all of a sudden you see your percentage of your grade drop because you didn't do well on an extra credit. Again, it can only help you, and at worst, have no effect at all. I thought I would do extra credit. Again, an opportunity to gain a point if you would like, and it has to do with shoes, and specifically FootJoy golf shoes. And I have a few here. I'll take this pair, but in 1857, Bird and Packard started a shoe company in Broxton, Massachusetts, which was to become FootJoy. And it went through different ownerships. Different companies have owned FootJoy over the years, but it really originated in 1857. And like all I guess leather makers and shoe makers of the time, they were mainly street shoes. Around 1910 to 1923, FootJoy began to make first golf shoes. And over the years, from just quality shoe and marketing of that shoe, it became in 1959 when FootJoy consolidated all of their production facilities into Broxton, Massachusetts. They would say 9 out of 10 touring professionals or club professionals wore FootJoys. And again, over time, especially in the 70s, they came out with various versions of their shoe, but their classic FootJoy shoe was like this. And what made them unique was they had multiple styles. This is just one style that I purchased in 2009, and that has a meaning because that was the last year they made this. But these shoes were all leather, calfskin leather. They had originally completely leather soles, hand stitched, between about 150 maybe to 170 steps in shoemaking factory would go into making one pair of shoes. And real art form, those jobs were passed down from generation to generation. So oftentimes a person working in that factory, their grandfather or great-grandfather had done or preceded them in making these shoes. And as time evolved into the 1970s, these shoes were again iconic on the Pro Tour. If you were an excellent golfer, you wore these shoes. And one of the drawbacks to them was they were expensive. Okay, and I think this pair cost right around $300 in 2009, and so that was a limitation to it. Also, too, they being all leather, they were kind of heavy. Usually, a pair would weigh around 3 pounds. So compared to what athletic shoes weigh now, and a pair you can see, but they're extremely comfortable. Again, completely made out of leather insoles, Just a quality shoe. The other thing too was, just like a dress shoe, you could get these in various widths, about 10 different widths, from AAA to, I don't know, quadruple E's. I don't, would vary. Where now, with most golf shoes or athletic shoes, you know, you get one size, medium or D. And so they were made to fit. During the 70s and 80s, shoemaking or production of shoes began to be shipped overseas to be produced cheaper and sold back. But the classic FootJoy remained at Broxton, Massachusetts until 2009, when it closed down during the Great Recession, and that was the end of the classic shoe. And actually, even at 2009, with all the Nikes and Adidas and all the companies making golf shoes at the time that were more athletically looking, 65% of touring pros wore FootJoys. Again, as I mentioned, there could be 150 to 175 some steps involved in making this shoe. You know, it's fit. I should say the reasons for it closing down was, one, they were losing money. They were an expensive shoe, as I had mentioned, and also two, it only accounted for about 2% of the market. All right, and so it's an iconic shoe. It's kind of funny how you would judge how good a golfer you were by the type of shoe you wore. And if you were an excellent golfer, these were the shoes you would have. Again, as I mentioned, in 2009 they closed down. What they did, FootJoy did do a few years ago, is come back with something called the Classic 1857, and they went back to making the classic shoe, and they used Italian leather, again, inserts, the 150 to 160, 70 steps in hand making or making this shoe, and now that shoe costs like $750, so it's kind of expensive. My question for you is, when did they introduce the Classic 1857? What year was that?